anxious for the things of the Lord. Next, Brother Antonius Christodoulou will share with us a talk and some interviews concerning the theme, anxious for the things of the Lord. Brother Christodoulou, you have our attention. Would you not agree that being anxious for the things of the Lord is a responsibility we all have, married or single? But, is there an advantage to being single in this reduced time period? Well, that depends on the circumstances of a person. For example, what is more valuable, a treasure chest full of gold and precious gems, or one full of cans of Spam and water? Well, you might say that's easy, the one with gold and gems. That might be true under the right circumstances. However, what if the circumstances were that we were stranded in a desert with nothing else around us? Now, which is more valuable? Which provides us with a better advantage? Well, it is a fact that, in a sense, singleness is the better treasure chest under these circumstances of living in the desert-like conditions of this system of things. But, in what sense is singleness better? Well, the Apostle Paul helps us to see in what sense singleness is better. I invite you to turn your Bibles to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, and we'll look at verses 32 through 35. Now as we scan verses 32 through 34, Paul makes a contrast between a single or unmarried man and woman and married ones. Then he highlights that a single person is able to focus or be anxious or concerned about the things of the Lord, whereas a married person is also focused on the things of the world. Thus, his or her time, energy and attention is divided, as verse 34 says. Now, to help us appreciate why Paul recommends singleness is seen as we look at verses 29 through 31. Expressions such as in verse 29, the time left is reduced, and verse 31, the latter part, for the scene of this world is changing. It shows that these are not favorable circumstances, but urgent times requiring drastic actions. Hence, Paul under these circumstances clearly points out in verse 35 that singleness offers a personal advantage. What is that? Well, let's look at verse 35 together. 1 Corinthians 7:35 reads, "But this I am saying for your personal advantage, not that I may cast a noose upon you, but to move you to that which is becoming, and that which means constant attendance upon the Lord without distraction." To balance things out, if you glance down in verse 38, we see that Paul says that those who give their virginity to marriage does well, but he that does not give it in marriage will do better. Yes, singleness is better, but only when a person uses the freedom it brings, not for selfish goals and pursuits, but for the interests of the things of the Lord, that being everything that will promote the interests of the Son of God. Now these things have to do with our life, our worship to his Father, Jehovah, and our ministry. So then, what Paul outlines here in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 is that, while marriage is, under certain circumstances, advisable for some, singleness is undeniably advantageous for the Christian men and women who want to serve Jehovah with minimal distraction. Thus, whereas a married person would naturally be divided because of their responsibilities and cares of a physical nature for their families, which are described as the things of the world, a single person, generally not having such cares, is freer and able to devote more time to personal study and quiet meditation, as well as focus better on their ministry and the extent they share in it. Hence, a single person can perhaps serve where the need is greater, at a foreign field, perhaps learn a new language, serve as a regular pioneer, or serve at one of the branch offices. And, if it is a brother who serves as a ministerial servant or an elder, he has the privilege of applying to attend the ministerial training school. Are not these truly personal advantages that one can treasure? So then, what are we to conclude in light of Paul's counsel at 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verses 32 through 35? It is this, that singleness is truly a better way of life when a person can minimize the concerns over the things of the world and give greater attention and time to the things of the Lord, especially as the scene of this world is rapidly changing for the worst. Now in our circuit, we have many who are serving Jehovah in such a single state. We would like to interview some. First we have young brother Paul Caruso, who serves as a regular pioneer with the Largo East congregation. Brother Caruso, how are you using your time as a single person to care for the things of the Lord? Well, as you mentioned, I am serving as a regular pioneer in my congregation. And I've also had the privilege of attending the Pioneer Service School this past August. I also have time to aid in the literature department, as well as to enjoy other privileges in the congregation. And I'm working toward the goals of becoming a ministerial servant, serving as a temp at Bethel, and also helping in a foreign language while I'm still single. Now what challenges have you had to deal with? Well, I must say there is this one hurdle I've had to deal with. What would that be, Brother Caruso? Well, I really like my car. And I really enjoy working on it. But of course that does require a lot of time and money. So there is the temptation to go to work as much as I can to make a lot of money that I then can, in turn, use to make my car go faster. Laughter. We're sure many of our young ones can relate to that. Now more important, what blessings are you experiencing while you serve Jehovah as a single person? Well, since I just budget what I used for my car, I have been able to most recently serve at the remodel project going on at the local Kingdom Hall. In addition to the weekend work, I've been able to serve many times during the week and often on very short notice. I've also served as a night watchman a few times. Having such a full share in the building work has really been a blessing beyond compare. I have had the opportunity to draw closer to some of the local elders as well as other local brothers, but I've also made new friends from the RBC as well as from the Polish congregation that we share the hall with. And I've also drawn closer to Jehovah by seeing the atmosphere at the builds. It's really been an experience I wouldn't trade for anything. Thank you, Brother Caruso. Now we have Sister Amanda Sexton, who also serves as a regular pioneer in the Largo East congregation. Sister Sexton, how are you using your time as a single sister to care for the things of the Lord? Well, since I'm not married, I am able to live at home and many of my needs are cared for in that manner. I only have to work part-time and this has enabled me to pioneer for the last 8 years and be able to set aside the time to work in unassigned and seldom worked territories on a number of occasions, which has always been fun. With our hall in the process of being remodeled, I enjoy being available during the day and during the week to help on projects. And that's a time when most married people have jobs and family commitments that they need to care for. I'm working with the brothers and sisters and being in a variety of jobs. It has been very exciting. Now you're two also. What challenges or hurdles have you had to deal with? Well, I'm hearing impaired, so when the ESA congregation was formed several years ago, I was encouraged to attend. However, what I knew was the level of signing in exact English, and ESA is quite different. For several reasons, at that time, I didn't succeed. And if I had gotten married, that probably would have been the end of the story. Learning to function in a new language and a new culture takes a lot of time and commitment, things I may not have had time for any longer. Now, more importantly, what blessings are you experiencing while you serve in a single state? Well, along with my brother who is also single, we set a goal of learning sign language recently, and since September we have been attending one ESO meeting a week, in conjunction with working on the project and going to our meeting. And already the blessings are there, and they are many. A few weeks ago, we were able to give our first comments at the congregation Bible study, and even though it was only a few words, it was very exciting. And 2 weeks ago, the group was out in field service in the ESA territory, and, by being observant to the signs that we saw in the neighborhood, we were able to make contact with a family who happened to learn sign language for their 5-year-old daughter. And so we plan, by January, to be a part of that congregation. Thank you very much. We appreciate those expressions. Applause. Now we'd like to speak with Brother Derek Winning, a graduate of the 98th class of Ministerial Training School and now serves as a regular pioneer with the Clearwater West congregation. Brother Winning, how are you using your time as a single brother to care for the things of the Lord? Well, right now, I'm in my 7th year of pioneering and staying quite busy in that. Also, there are other responsibilities in the congregation as a ministerial servant. In addition, a new arrangement that we've had this year is family worship, and what I've been able to do as a single person is really set it for myself where it's fitted just for me to look into deeper Bible subjects. And I also just finished with a group in seldom worked territory, which brings many blessings. However, it could require a lot of sacrifice to be able to do something like that, which is not always easy if one is married. Now what challenges have you had to deal with, Brother Winning? Well, I've had some setbacks in the past, and what is common for a single person, like seeing others marry, battling loneliness at times, those are the common things I've dealt with. Now, more importantly, what blessings are you experiencing while you serve Jehovah as a single person? Well, 2 in particular come to mind. One is through time as a single person, I've been able to see how Jehovah blesses me as an individual, to really see how things work out for me and how Jehovah takes care of me. And secondly, is ministerial training school, which was a wonderful blessing in itself, which did require that I remain single for a certain amount of time and in an appointed position. Once I did receive the appointment, what a wonderful education it certainly was. A number of things, certain responsibilities you learn, organizational procedures, improving on public speaking, and enhancing Bible teachings, but especially drawing closer to Jehovah. So I can say it was worth the wait. Thank you, Brother Winning. Finally, but not least, Brother Ron Leclerc, we would like to speak with him. He is also an MTS graduate and a regular pioneer and serves as the coordinator of the body of elders of the Dunedin North congregation. Brother Leclerc, how are you using your time to serve Jehovah and care for his sheep as a single person? Well, I'm able to be used in the congregation to care for the many needs that are there and the other responsibilities as well. I am able to have a fuller share in the ministry because of singleness. I am also able to visit the friends who are in need and help them to the degree that I am able to. I am also able to be used at the assemblies and conventions and in some of the work assignments, a little more flexibility there being single. I'm also able to be used at the regional building level with the regional building part of the organization, so I'm able to help build many of the kingdom halls as well. What challenges, though, have you had to deal with? Perhaps one of the biggest challenges has always been to make the right decision on what to do with my time, because it is true that being single gives you fewer responsibilities outside of theocratic activities. So what to do with my time has been a challenge. What am I going to decide to do? So in order to make the proper decision, I had to weigh between am I going to use my time in a less than ideal way when it comes to secular things, or am I going to put more emphasis toward theocratic things? So that has always been a challenge to make that right decision. And, also, what blessings are experiencing while you serve Jehovah in a single state? I think one of the blessings on making the decision on where I'm going to put the majority of my time has been experiencing all of the facets of the organization. It is true that single brothers especially have many opportunities theocratically to pursue sisters as well. So it's drawn me closer to the organization and the brotherhood. I've been able to receive training from different courses from the organization, which has been a true blessing. I am also able to draw closer to the friends with my time that is available. Some other things that I'm able to do also is go work seldom work territory regularly, which I really enjoy. MTS was an exceptional course to take and that also was a blessing. But perhaps the relationship that it has given me with Jehovah. It has really made me feel an attachment to him because of the time that I am now spending around theocratic activities that glorify him. Thank you very much. Friends, do we not want to commend our single brothers and sisters for having such a self-sacrificing spirit in their loyal devotion to Jehovah's work? Applause. At the same time, all here today, regardless of our circumstances, must have the same spirit and devotion, being determined to attend to the Lord's interests without distractions, especially since the time left is reduced.